How's it going, folks? And you're very welcome along to the Motorcycle Hour podcast, where we talk all things motorcycling. A quick shout out to our sponsors, Terence Healy Motorcycles Tullamore, your main Honda dealer for the Midlands. City Spares Motorcycling, Cherry Orchard Industrial Estate Dublin, your Honda and Suzuki agent. And motorcyclingtraining.ie, your one-stop shop for all your motorcycle training needs. Before we kick it off, we do want to give a reminder that this podcast is intended for audience of 18 years and older. So just remember this when deciding where and when you listen. How's it going, folks? And you're very welcome back to the Motorcycle Hour podcast. On this week's episode, number 51, we've got a big one. We've got Paul, Stacey and Mike in that are going to be telling us about some revelations within the motorcycle in Ireland. These people are going to get together and tell us about some of the plans that hopefully, if it all works out, that they have for the future to try and ensure some motorcycle racing back in the south for 2026. So by all accounts, an interesting one ahead, and I hope you all enjoy. All right, folks, so we're joined with 3 Facebook celebrities at this stage. I think most people have seen a lot of these people, but especially Paul and Stacey on Facebook. We've Mike here as well, going to chat about some of the plans that you have for motorcycle in Ireland and some ideas you have and kind of how to get the sport back, I suppose, back in the first place and make some improvements and stuff. So we'll start it off first. The man that needs absolutely no introduction. You're kind of part of this podcast at this stage anyway. Paul, give us your background.
Yeah, thanks, Bren. Depends on what background you want.
Well, the legal one.
I've got a few. Well, look, I have a legal background. I have a law degree from Trinity College. I ended up in court with the Irish Aviation Authority in 2014. My solicitor abandoned me before, so I had to go and represent myself. Horrendous thing, but in the end, I quite enjoyed it. I fell in love with the English language. I went down to Trinity College in 2014, banged on the door and said, I want to do a law degree. How do I go about it? I had to do an interview and I did 4 years full-time in Trinity and graduated in 2018.
Okay.
With my law degree.
Mm-hmm. Motorbikes aside, obviously I know you've obviously you raced in the classic series and stuff like that. And you were involved for a period there in there RU? There was another group you were trying to get going. Obviously, we had you on the podcast before.
Oh, the RRAI.
The RRAI, yeah. And obviously, that was kind of... You obviously had the meeting and stuff. With the last thing we had you on, you were talking about the meeting that you had with the...
Yeah, and look, that kind of brings us to where we are now because... if anybody wants to see it, I think it's episode 38. I'm not sure you can check that, but if they just want to go back on it, it's the first 35 minutes of that where I come on to talk. And that kind of leads us to where we are now, is that with the RRAI, what's the best way to go at this? Fundraising. Mm-hmm. And they keep talking about fundraising. The figures that we're talking about now and why we're getting involved is because nothing to do with the motorbike racing. And we can't fault the people who are in there operating and running the motorcycle rules and regulations and that side of things. And they're doing a great job as volunteers. That's not what we're about. What we're about is everybody talks about fundraising. And it's quite clear over the last few years the fundraising doesn't work.
No.
Well, no. It can't work at that level with those figures involved. Mm-hmm. Because you can't keep hitting the same pockets. You can't keep hitting the riders. You're only doing yourself that. It's like being in a game of Monopoly and having loads of hotels and then having to start selling them off. Well, you're not winning that game of Monopoly.
I suppose like if when people think of like, you know, if it's, you know, you're taking donations, you're trying to raise money for every year. It's different with a GA club is trying to run a fundraiser and they can raise money and they want to do up a pitch or they want to build a clubhouse or whatever. That's an item that's going to be there for years to come.
Yes.
But obviously with road racing, the biggest, and racing in general, the biggest issue we have obviously is insurance. That's the biggest cause. The biggest cost, I should say. So obviously that's annual.
Well, look, it is the biggest cost, and I'll get onto that in a second, but it's not the be-all and end-all. There's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot more involvement than insurance. I know the insurance, What's changed now is the business dynamic, and it's changed dramatically. It's gone from outgoings of 200 grand or something to you're talking seven figures now. You're talking into the millions.
Okay.
And now, yeah, most of that is insurance. But what you have to look at is and this is a long way of getting back to where I was a second ago. You have to look at getting funding for this. So you have to actually run it as a business. And like I said before, you're in a situation where Mary can get voted in as the president of the association because Mary made lovely sandwiches last Sunday.
Yeah.
Mary might have absolutely no experience at that level. And when you sit down with these companies and you sit down with ministers, as we did, you sit down with insurance companies and you've got to be able to talk to them and deal with them at the same level they're at. You won't get a second chance. If you knacker that first meeting, you're not getting back in the door.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And all that has to be done, but you've got to get funding. And that's where we went to the minister. And that's how we ended up where we are now. And it's a very, very simple thing is that the minister was having nothing of the RAI because the RAI weren't representing enough people. So they couldn't be a governing body when they weren't representing the majority of the roads. And the minister said he will only deal with a governing body. We then went to mediation the following week. As the minister said, go to mediation, get this sorted out. I'm not dealing with fragmented groups, which was fair enough. And we went to mediation. We had to make a very, very big decision because we couldn't deal again with the minister unless we were a governing body. We couldn't become a governing body because we didn't represent enough people. The insurance quote that we had was a quote that couldn't be financed or couldn't be financed at that time anyway. So what we had to do is we had to get everything back under the one roof. One of the arguments at the time was, well, if we hand this back and we hand this over, are they going to be able to do anything with it? But you've got to dismiss that argument because that's a completely different argument. The fact of the matter is you still have to get back in under the one roof, and that's exactly what we did, and that was the decision we made. And that was for the future of the sport. That was to get the funding and that was to secure the future of the sport. We handed it all back. That was last May. I've been on the podcast since. I've spoken about this. As far as we're aware, nothing has been done about that. Absolutely nothing. And that's going to go. The minister made that quite clear. He said, if you don't come back to me, if you don't get this done, that money will go elsewhere.
That's just, I suppose, it's a couple of things. It's disheartening for starters, but also incredibly frustrating. Do you know what I mean? To be given, I suppose, you've essentially got a foot in the door. You got further than probably any group has ever gotten before. To actually for a minister to sit down, talk to you for starters, but also get the issues that's there and kind of, in no uncertain terms, ensure you that there would be funding available. Surely to God, anybody that was in a position would jump at that.
You see, one of the problems is when you go and deal with a minister and you can't go and talk motorbikes. One, the minister doesn't care about motorbikes until you're then introducing an element of risk. You can't go and talk about insurance because they won't fund insurance. If they fund insurance, they then become in some way liable or accept some liability. They're not going to do that. So then you have to go, you've got to put a business together. You've got to say, well, this is our operating costs for a year or for 12 months or for 6 months or whatever that happens to be. And we're now looking for a percentage of that in order to save the sport. That way you avoid the motorbikes, you avoid the insurance issue. You're going for operational costs as a sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That requires, plus you're going to need projections of, we're going to need a long-term plan. And that's something MCI don't have. I've asked loads of times, what is the plan? They don't have a plan. They've no business plan. They have no strategic plan. They've no plans going forward. And what they're looking to do is their whole thing is run day by day, kick the can down the road. Let's see, can we get insurance for next year? Let's see, can we get insurance? And all you're going to do is run into a bottleneck the following year. So you can't do that. So the whole thing needs to be changed. And there's two elements to this. I've noticed with MCI, and I won't be thanked for saying it, but I think it needs saying that there are prejudices there. And long-standing prejudice. There's begrudging there. And I don't want to say that it's not all bad, but there's a disconnect there. And what's there as well is I like the term. The term came from a Cessna Citation crash in 2015, and it was the accident report on it, where a Cessna Citation went to take off. The control locks hadn't been removed. The co-pilot had said to the pilot, 7 people killed or something. The co-pilot said to the pilot, the control locks are still in. Rather than abort it, they said, no, we'll take off. They took off, and they said, we'll remove the control stops after we take off. They never took off. But what they said was, when the company looked, or when the accident investigation looked at the company, there was a lot of deviations within the company that where they're saying that it had become the norm. But anybody looking from the outside, and the term that they phrased was, there was a normalization of deviance. And I love that term because I think that's kind of what's going on in MCI as well. There's a normalization of deviance, and they keep hitting the same buttons and the same things and hoping for a different result. And it isn't going to happen. What we're actually doing is we're offering skills to do a job. But that is very, very important because they will put people up against us. They will try and stop us. I think we're really up against it. And what needs to happen is what we've done so far. We have a draft constitution done, which would protect the executive positions over the next 10, 20 years.
Okay. Yeah.
But that would have to go before, obviously that have to go to an AGM or an EGM. That would have to go before, that would have to be voted on. There's all that. We're very, very close now to having the business plan ready for the minister, including all the projections for the next 5 years. And also in the next couple of weeks, we will have the insurance proposals done.
Okay, but so just on that, who's we?
Myself, Mike, and Stacey.
Okay. So you in essentially you've have gotten together to do all this work.
Yeah, we've done about 3 or 4 months' work now.
Months work on this, which is more than probably MCI have done combined. So what exactly are you looking to happen?
What we're looking to happen is we're looking for all 3 of us to be elected. Because what we're looking to do is we started a job, we got to meet the minister, we've just spoken about that. We got to do all that. And then we had to hand it over. Mm-hmm. And seeing as it hasn't progressed since May, we're now looking to chase that work so we can finish that job. That's all we're looking to do.
Yeah.
But we need to do that as a team. The work that we have, if we don't get elected in, that just goes in the bin. It's not work that you can hand on. Like you can't hand 400 or 500 pages of work to somebody and say, you go in and present that to the minister, and they don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. So it is important that we get in as a team. Absolutely.
So the position you ideally, and I think I said this, if I quote myself on the last podcast, is ideally it's yourself that should be present, in my opinion anyway, of the MCI, because you're the only one. And again, I say this again, I have reached out to MCI on numerous occasions to see if I could get them on the podcast. And there's an email address, and I've sent messages on the Facebook page. I didn't get anything back. Now, Stacey, we're going to get on to you now in a second as well, because you have some great ideas and stuff like that. But I said it here, Charlie, we'd be all in agreement. And I think anybody that knows you is you're very, very passionate about it, right? Which is, you have to be. You're not afraid of putting in the work. But that's obvious. You've also got a great business brain and a law brain, obviously, behind you. So you know what needs to happen. So I think...
But there are 2 stages to it. One is it needs to be protected. Mm-hmm. But then you need something to protect. And the other thing is, from what we're seeing, is it's broken. It needs to be fixed. Mm-hmm. So you need to get in there and completely fix it, and then protect what you've fixed.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no use protecting it now. Like I said, I won't get thanked for it. But there's all sorts going on. You can't look. The people who own the company, the people who own MCI, are the clubs. Mm-hmm. They're the members. They are the members of the company. And yet there's a disconnect, because MCI will put out information and then they'll turn off the comments or something on Facebook or something like that. So you immediately alienate the people that you're supposed to be representing.
I get you, yeah.
So all that needs to be closed off. That's where Stacey's seriously professional.
Absolutely, yeah. 100%,
and get information. Yeah. And some of the best businesses on the planet, if they've no information, they'll get onto you and they'll say, listen, we're just checking in with you. We've no information at the moment, but as soon as we do, we'll let you know, but we're checking in. Mm-hmm, and you've got to, what needs to happen, rather than alienate the members of the company, the license holders, the members, the people involved with MCI, rather than alienate them, they've got to be empowered. You've got to empower them. If you empower people, you make people feel involved and feel part of something, well, then half of your job is done, because they will row in with you and they will help you out. But if you alienate people, all you're doing is you're introducing a level of toxicity.
Yeah, absolutely. And frustration. Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. Yeah.
So now you know the way Brendan feels.
On a daily basis. Stacey, we're going to go over to you now. So obviously, I have seen your posts on Facebook going over a long period of time. So you're obviously somebody that's very, very passionate again about the motorcycling end of things as well. But you're also great on social media. You know, you've been pushing everything from, you know, whether it's charity ride-outs to organising meetups over in Slane and stuff, trying to organise fun and stuff. So give us a little bit of background about yourself and maybe your connection to the industry and your plans.
Well, my CV is not just as long as Paul's, because he's about 30 years on me. But
putting it mildly, I'd say.
But no, it's a family thing that we've been into motorbikes, and then I married into motorbikes as well.
Yeah.
So every other day I'm around it and I see it, and I've always really had a passion for the road racing.
Yeah.
And then when everything started to go wrong there 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I said we needed to do something. So I started up to support the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And my background would be, I own a wedding business it's international and Irish award winning. So I'm quite all over the place with that. So that's with designs, and then you're always obviously posting. You have to get your customers. And I love design. I love getting stuff out there. And when I'm passionate about something, I will make sure that it works.
Yeah.
And I get very frustrated when it actually doesn't work. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
So like, just go on that there. Like we were chatting as well before, like with MCI. And again, this is not a podcast where I'm going out on I'm harping on and trying to put them down, but there's an awful lot of room for improvement when it comes to the social media and the things. Like,
huge.
I was doing a bit of motocross and stuff, and we were always wondering, were we going to get insurance? And you know, you could go onto the page and you might see a press release once every 6 months saying, look, we're working on it, or whatever. But aside from that, something I could never understand, all the fantastic events that does go on in the country, motorcycle related, whether it's meetups or whether it's a fundraiser. As we always said, bikers are the first to put their hand in their pocket. Someone's in need. Wouldn't it be great to see the likes of MCI getting behind that and, you know, posting about it and growing the social media? So that's where you're hoping to maybe come in.
I think, because you see with Support the Sport anyway, I would be posting every single day. But I believe that with the MCI Facebook, maybe once a year something's posted, twice a year, which is not really relevant.
No.
Like, you need to as well be able to promote the youngsters to make them feel good about themselves and look, oh, the union body's looking at me and people are seeing me, and it's just to keep them in the sport and to get more people in. Because unless you are the family of a racer or know somebody, you don't know about the sport. Like, if you're able to follow stuff online constantly, you'll start to build a trust with it. And I think as members and racers and whatever, that you need to have the support of your union, and to show that, well, they're proud of you. I might sound a bit silly, but it's something that needs to be pushed out there, and it'll draw away more. Like when you look at BSB or you look at anything, it's constant online presence. Yeah, absolutely. And huge amount of reaction to it. And we just don't have that here. No, like that is the world we live in now, whether you like it or hate it. Social media is everything. If you want to promote anything, it's all on social media. And for if people are going to bury their head in the sand and not be promoting it, like, it's not like soccer and football, as you say. If there's loads and loads of kids out there, if they want to go and play football, they go and join the local GAA and they'll go in and train. But motorbikes, if you're a younger person and you don't come from a motorbiking background, but you have a genuine interest in it, it's very, very, very hard. Like, where do you go? Where do you go? Where's the information? Exactly. Like, there's none of that. And it's very vague. Yeah, so again, like I said, unless you're a family member that's in that sport, or your dad raced or your granddad, you're not going to know anything about this. No, absolutely no. And like, you know, there is ideas there I often thought of, and you see a lot in the UK. So say the likes of with the kids with the motocross, say, I'm just saying motocross because it's easier for youngsters to get into motocross. But wouldn't it be great now if you'd turn around at some stage in the future and you'd see, like, you could go onto MCI page and you'd say, just a note at Ferns, or say at Doon motocross track this Saturday, such and such will be there.
giving lessons or
Yeah.
doing a bit of a tutorial.
Yeah.
Bring your kids down or whatever. Bring the bikes. Do you know what I mean? The helmets, the gear. I just think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
There's a club, there's a motocross track after open just outside Eatonderry, and he's actually after putting in a kids track now. You'd want to see the amount of young people going to that because there was nowhere else for them, you know. And it's a double whammy, you could say. It's getting young lads off the road on these little pit bikes and stuff to have somewhere to go. But like that, he's had lads down running training days for them and everything, and now they're building up this whole community. You know what I mean? And it's somewhere
But it
for them to
comes
go.
back, Brent, it comes back to having a foundation or having a platform to build on. And I don't think that's there at the moment.
No.
Like there has to be engagement.
Massively. Like for you to get the trust of your paying members, you have to be able to be showing up. Like this thing of I don't know when a race is on, blah 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 blah. It's like
Yeah, but see, it's like a government as well. The people who are in there, like we're talking about getting elected. That in itself, that word elected, that means that we're elected. We're there to represent those people who elected us.
Yeah.
And that seems to be forgotten at the top table, as it is in most governments. And what happens when it comes to election time like this, most governments, and this would be no different except on a smaller scale, but most governments don't care about their citizens. They just care about the continuation of their governance.
Yeah.
And they will do whatever it takes then to try and stay in. And people have short memories at that stage once you dangle a carrot in front of them. So that's what we're going to be up against, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And even going back just on the social media and the things as well, like it's so counterintuitive what they're like. You could be the hardest worker in the world and trying to do all this stuff in the background, but if you're not putting it on social media, what's going on? Yeah, exactly. People are just presuming you're doing nothing. Do you know what I mean? And it could be completely wrong, but you have to be in tune.
But Bren, you hit that nail on the head at the start of this. You said Paul and Stacey need no introduction, and Mike does. And the only difference between yourself, Stacey, and Mike is that Mike doesn't have a high profile social media presence that we have. That's the only difference.
The only difference, yeah. Well, that's how. Moving on to you, Mike. This is my first time meeting you. Give us a little bit of a background about yourself. You're after coming the whole way up from Limerick, anyway.
Yeah, I suppose a small bit of background into myself. Michael Dalton from a small village in West Limerick. TA, you probably all know, the road racing ran down there for X amount of years.
Yeah.
I was involved with that club from the very start, and then after 2011, we never ran no more. So then in 22, a group of us got together and we said, we'll start up this club again. And we did. And we're struggling since then just to get one road race over the line.
Bananas.
And had the support of all the community, everything, and still going against us.
And like on that, and we spoke about it, like I'm sure I'm sure I've been through it. How do you pronounce it? Atia, is it?
Atia, yeah.
Atia. Like obviously there's some great financial benefits to running a road race down there as well for the community. And if you're saying like you have the community on board to get road racing back down there, it must be unbelievably frustrating to be just hitting this same barrier the whole thing.
It was, because even in 22 we had the money to run the road race and a lot more with it. Companies rolled in behind us and it's very disappointing to turn back to them and say we have no insurance. And then the following year we're running, you get him in behind you again, and then you have to make that call again late in the year. We're not running again this year.
Yeah. And there's only so many times that's going to happen, and you're going to go to a company, they're going to go, here, I don't want to hear about it. You know what I mean? I don't want to know about it, you know?
Problem, you see.
Yeah.
And the frustrating thing about it all is the later you go in the year with, say, searching for sponsors, even down to government funding, it all has to be done before November, well before November.
Yeah.
Because most of them have their money given away.
Yeah.
Even October.
Which is why we're doing all this work now off our own bats, because the AGM is November. There was no other way we could do this short of doing what was done before. You can't do a coup. You can't go and look for votes and no confidence in anyone. One, it's disingenuous, and two, it never works. You never gain trust of anybody by doing it, so you need to go through the proper channels. The AGM is until the 8th of November, so we had to wait till the 8th of November. What we have done is, for the first time ever, I think, in the history of MCIs, we've actually come out and campaigned and said, listen, this is what we want to do. We're looking to get in there, and we've campaigned. But the reason we've done the work is because, as Mike said, we're going to have very short time. If we do get in there, we need to hit the ground running. We need to be coming back to people with information, with news within 2 to 3 weeks of getting in there.
Hard going. Even to get an
Very
appointment.
hard going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But that's why all the work, that's why we'll have months of work already done beforehand.
Yeah.
And can I ask you, Paul, who is it that you need to vote you in to?
Yeah. How do
Clubs.
You know,
Clubs.
Yeah, the clubs. This will boil down ultimately to motocross and off-road, because they have the majority of the clubs. And the way the clubs vote, the clubs will have 3 votes. They'll have 3 representatives on the day. They'll have 3 votes unless the club has been affiliated for less than 12 months, in which case they'll only have 1 vote.
Okay.
But it will come down. It'll come down mainly to motocross and off-road. And they don't know us as such.
Yeah.
So
But
there will be suspicion.
Yeah. Well, look, I couldn't genuinely, I'm not saying this because you're sitting across from me, I couldn't see one reason why they wouldn't get behind you, because it's not as if motocross, as we know, all disciplines, there hasn't been any
this is the problem,
motocross.
Brent. This is the problem. The feedback that we're getting at the moment is that I might get in, but that Stacey and Mike mightn't get in.
Okay.
Or Stacey might get in, and me and Mike mightn't get in. And that doesn't work, because the team works as a team. We can't go and do, Stacey couldn't go and do the job that I'm doing. I couldn't go and do the job that she's doing or that Mike is doing. It's got to be a team effort. If we get in there, we can hit the ground running. We can actually do this. And we want to do this for the benefit of everybody else. I don't particularly want a job on top of my job for 40, 50, 60 hours a week, which is what it's going to take to do this.
Yeah.
I don't particularly want that with no remuneration. We need to do it in order to save what it is we love. I want to keep racing.
Yeah.
Right, I'm 60, I'm my next birthday, but I still want to keep racing.
Yeah, no, 100%, yeah.
And the other thing is, and it always seems to get forgotten, is there's a lot of youngsters. You've got the likes of Holly Dennis in the motocross, and she's making waves now. There's an awful lot of stuff comes up about Holly. We've got Ciara Cahoon. We have a few women. We've got all the
we've a Moto 3 rider this year. We've an Irish Moto 3.
Yeah, we've an Irish Moto. But all of these young people, they don't have either the mental capacity or the legal capacity, as most of them are under 18, to make the decisions to protect their own sport. They rely on us to do it, and they've been failed miserably year on year on year. And that can't happen. That all has to be addressed. Every single thing. There's so much work in this. But the one thing I can absolutely guarantee you, because I'm sick of hearing it, if I haven't got the time to do this job, not if I haven't got the time, if I'm not prepared to put the time into this, I won't look to get myself elected. I am sick to the teeth of hearing people saying, when the shit hits the fan, well, we're only volunteers, we have a life outside of this. You will not hear that excuse at any point from anybody in this group. Yeah. That won't happen. We're prepared to put the work in. We're already putting the work in.
Yeah, well, I'd argue the point there's been more done in the past couple of months from a group that's not even officially a part of any committee than what has been done in any years previous, you know?
Like, I think that, and Paul was right there earlier on, about the fundraising part of it. They're so focused on this fundraising. Fundraising won't save the sport.
No.
The number one thing is this government funding. That is essential to the sport to keep it alive.
But that's
if we don't get
and
that
then
funding,
you've got where Stacey was saying, build a profile, and build a profile, and just keep hitting social media. Build a profile, similar to MotoGP, maybe not on that scale, but a similar type of thing. And then you can build a product that you can try to make attractive to corporate sponsors.
Yeah.
Because they will get something from that. And you can approach corporate sponsors. None of that has been done at the moment. Because that's where the money is going to have to come. I think we're going to have to change this, and we're going to have to run a lot of our races as festivals, a little bit like the Classic Festival up the north.
That was fantastic.
Yeah,
absolutely,
because what you've got is, and a friend of mine told me this to me, Derek, that I work with, he was saying this to me. He said, you're a die-hard road race fan. I just say road racing, that's my background. But a die-hard road race fan will bring his flask and his sandwiches and his little stool, and he'd sit on the side of the road. He's not spending anything.
No.
And I'm not knocking that for a second.
Of course, yeah.
But what I'm saying is there's an awful lot of road race fans and motocross fans for that matter and enduro or whatever it happens to be sitting at home because the wife says you're not going out on Saturday. No, you have to stay here with the kids. But if you have something there for people who aren't interested in racing, I'll use the ploughing as an example. How many people actually go to watch the ploughing?
Exactly.
And yet it's the biggest festival in Ireland.
But the ploughing, 90% of people, yeah.
But if you make that attractive to people outside of racing and to families, that fella who wants to go, he'll spend 300 or 400 quid just to bring his family and keep them happy so he can watch a bit of racing.
Yeah.
So you change the whole dynamic, and they're the types of things that we need to, they're the types of things that Stacey does.
Yeah.
She does that well. We just crack the whip and say, hey, get on with that, Stace. Where's that sponsorship you promised us last Friday? But that is the type of work. So we do have a lot of ideas. But we're not doing this for any recognition. We're not doing this for, as somebody said to me there a little while back, why do you want to be president? I said, I don't particularly want to be president. But I said, I need to be president if I want to do the job that I need to do, because that's the only way I can take 2 steps up the ladder to open a door that's just out of my reach at the moment.
I know what you mean. Yep.
Because you use that title to open doors.
Yeah,
but that's as far as you use it.
You're doing it, Paul, like Stacey and Mick there, for the love of the sport.
Yeah.
To get back up, because believe it or not, the thousands of bikers in south of Ireland at the moment that misses the bike racing, it's chronic.
It's incredible. Like you have
You
the
know what
mental
I mean?
health side of it as well. Like.
And you see, Stacey, when there used to be bike racing on, let it be 4, let it be Wallerstown, Faugheen, wherever, you'd something planned.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You could meet your friends, say, lads, listen, the bike racing's on the weekend. Come on, we're heading. You go down. I look forward to grabbing the burger and chips, right? So I get this packed lunch.
If you're like, I know I bring the packed lunch and never eat it.
No, I swear to God.
It's not a day.
By Jesus, I would.
And I come
I did
home
as much
raging
as
then
a
I was
child.
after eating.
Chow, I'd say your operation was to remove a few burgers, wasn't it?
No, but I'm not saying it live here. No way. You'd be raging, but if you knew what happened. I know, but no, but like, I mean, and it's a credit to you. As Paul was saying, you need to be voting as the team.
Yes.
Simple as.
It can't be individually.
And believe it or believe it not, I'd say, like, there's a lot of people out there now that if you did get voted in, they'd get right behind you.
But we have to balance it as well.
Yeah.
Because things have been so stale and stagnant for a while and for a few years. Because of that, we need to balance this.
Yeah. He's
Sorry,
too old.
I just noticed
the
the name on my Coke. It's fantastic. on my can of Coke. Where was I? What was I? Oh, yeah. We need to balance this because if we want to come in, if people do get on side with us, if people do buy into our dreams, there are still no guarantees. The only thing we can absolutely guarantee is that if it doesn't work, every stone will have been turned over.
Yeah.
There won't be a stone unturned. And not only that, is that every step we've made, everywhere we've gone, everybody will know about it because we'll tell them and we'll put it up there and we'll ask for help and we'll engage with people and we'll engage with the sport. And we'll go and have meetings with people that other people mightn't have had meetings with. And we'll go and try and do this. But we're going to be fighting on a whole load of different fronts because this will need changing and that will need changing. And that's on top of trying to get the funding, trying to get the sponsorship. There will be people who are diehards, who are set in their ways, who don't like change, who are going to push back against us. It isn't going to be an easy job. It isn't going to be an easy job by any stretch of the imagination.
But I suppose, at the end, like, it's a job, obviously, it's a job well worth doing, you know?
Well, look, we aren't doing it for titles because right now, and it has been for a few years, I would consider it anyway a poison chalice. If we don't go looking for this, nobody else is going to.
No.
Yeah.
And as you said there, Paul, where you go, we come from a road racing background, but we're there for all disciplines.
Yeah.
Because none of us can survive without the other.
No, 100%. And you have to have them all or none.
So when I started to support the sport, I was mainly road racing. That's my background as well.
Yeah.
Or my background. But then I ended up starting to talk to parents and kids of the youth. I actually have a youth page that runs as well. Now, it wouldn't be as popular as the sport, but it's for every. So it was enduro, it was off-road, it was drag racing, because that's rarely mentioned, actually, drag
Rarely
racing.
mentioned, yeah.
Sidecars, rarely mentioned. Now, you do have the classic lads and they I got
to remember the classic lads, yeah.
But they're very good at actually putting out their information.
Yeah,
like they do have a really good profile. Most of the clubs do, as in their own individual club, but as a union whole, there's very little information, and it's, again, unless you know these people or these clubs, you will not be following it.
Yeah.
And there's rumours and there's suspicion and there's all sorts. And if there is any suspicion against it, and I can understand if there was suspicion, because it looks like an RRAI takeover.
Yeah.
Look, it has, but the only reason for that, it shouldn't be no suspicion, because the only reason for that is because we were doing that work and we passed that work on to MCI.
Yeah.
And we want to finish the job we started. There's no other reason. People will say, oh, well, yes, they're road racers. But there should be no suspicion, because logic should play a part here. And if you look at it logically, you won't have a sick person lying on a bed and on an operating table, and you say, oh, do you know what? We'll just cut the head off and save that bit, because that would make absolutely no sense. And this is what we're talking about. Motocross, off-road, enduro, trials, that all feeds, as you said, the young people. That feeds, and a lot of those young people then go to tarmac, and that's where road racing can't survive on its own.
No.
Tarmac can't survive on its own. Here's the thing. Motocross can survive on its own without us, but we can't survive without it. So we have to save that. We've got to.
100%.
This is all encompassing. We're looking to save motorcycle sport, not road racing.
That is another thing in the sport, though, as a whole. You have your motocross, you have your roads, and you have your trials, but nobody speaks to each other.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to be, oh, look, they're this, they're that.
And
This is where I need to come in, and I need to get it all like a combined,
100%.
a combined union.
Yeah, definitely,
and be promote that road racer might say, geez, do you know what? I'll head off now and I'll go off to the motocross the weekend. Or just things like that. We don't have it because everyone is so separate.
Yeah. Just to have, like, as I say, which it should be, MCI, to have one governing body that encompasses all aspects of the sport. That, like, you were just mentioning about festivals. I don't know if you could call it. I would. The Northwest 200.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's a festival to me.
Massive.
That's absolutely massive. But it's not too long ago that things weren't going well there. And then obviously the council or the district council up the north saw the benefits of it, and there was, they organised and helped out with some fun and stuff to get it up and running. But the money that brings in is absolutely fantastic. And everybody, this is the thing that I love about it, is obviously outside of, like, all the lads here would all know the Northwest is on. But I'm talking to father-in-laws that wouldn't know one end of a motorbike from the other. But he knows that's on because it's all over social media. He's seen the video clips. You go and talk to a lad and say, I'm into the old bikes and stuff. He said, oh yeah, but just I seen the boys up, but you know what, that race that was on up the north. I seen them on YouTube. Them boys are lunatic. Do you know what I mean?
Like the Manx and the TT. The day that the Manx or the TT finishes, they have the date out for next year. Yeah. Then they have their ferries open for next year. Everything, actually, the ferry opens the first day of the TT and it's sold out by that evening.
Don't we know?
So you can't even get your ferry.
But every single thing, everything we spoke about tonight, everything we've spoken about on the last podcast I was on, and the one before that, all requires planning. Planning's not difficult. And you ask people the simplest things. If you got a plan for that, you say, well, if I want to go to the Jacks now, next door, I have to have a plan for it. Just the plan that I have is so well rehearsed that it's automated. But I have to get off the chair. I have to turn left. I turn right. I walk into the bookshop. I don't go to the Jacks. But you know what I mean? You need a plan.
You need a plan. Yeah, absolutely.
You have to be 5 or 6 years ahead, like.
You do absolutely.
But as I say, just go, like, wouldn't it just be great? And I think I speak for everybody across the board here, whatever discipline of motorbikes you're onto. But wouldn't it just be great if we lived in a time where in our country you could jump on Facebook and you see an organisation that's going, folks, there's a grass track event up on the Skerries this weekend. Or if you're down in Tipperary, there's a motocross event, or the road racing has gone up here. and you're sending, you're seeing clips of it. It's happening. You see the crowds is at, because that is the most important thing we spoke about before.
Yeah.
The Isle of Man TT. The Isle of Man TT is known all over the world, absolutely all over the world. And again, people that have absolutely no interest in motorbikes whatsoever know about the Isle of Man TT, because, which is crucially important, whoever runs their media for them, the videos they're putting up are absolutely top
and
class.
they're only short snippets.
They're only short snippets,
but it drags you in. It's like, I want to see more of that. What happens
100%.
after that?
They're selling the sport.
Yeah.
They're selling it, exactly. And then you'll struggle to see one now. You don't see like a monster flag, or you don't the RST. The sponsors, what they're getting out of it is absolutely unbelievable, because of purely the way that they're marketing it, And there is absolutely, as far as I'm concerned, there is no real reason in Ireland that we can't have that. There's a heritage of motorcycle racing in Ireland that most people probably aren't aware of. But it's one of the oldest traditions, sports in Ireland, and we've been phenomenally successful at. And I think if doesn't, like, we're heading for nearly 3 years now where we haven't really.
But a lot of what we're talking about, Brent, I've seen it in flying, I've seen it in skydiving, I've seen it in football clubs, and it seems to be an Irish thing. Yeah. It seems to be an Irish thing at a weekend type level, if you know what I mean. The things that go on at weekends. And you get a lot of people get a lot out of it if they don't make it in the big bad world or whatever. And you can tell those people, because you say to them, what is it you do? They don't say, well, I work on a checkout in Aldi's. They say, I'm the chairman of the football club in Edenderry.
Yeah.
And you think, no, that wasn't the question I asked. So what is it you do? Not what do you do at your weekends. Yeah. So there is an element of that in it as well. So there's a lot of that to be overcome. But that breeds all this level of suspicion. And there's suspicion about I don't know if it's an Irish thing, but it seems to be everywhere in Ireland.
Yeah, well, I was for the last couple of years at the sport. It was because I was losing out on bread money was the reason that I was doing it, because my husband would have been out with a bit of work.
Okay,
so that's what they were trying to throw at me was, she's only doing it because the business is getting it, and it's nothing. It was nothing to do with that.
Unfortunately, Ireland is known for that. There's always the begrudgers, you know.
No, but even if it was to do with that, and it's for the betterment of the sport, well, then why would that motive matter?
No, and that's what I'm saying, and it's going back to my point what I was saying about how easy of a decision this should be for people, because realistically, you've got two options. You leave things the way it is. We all know what way things are now. It's nothing. There's nothing there. It's nothing happening. Or you give you three a crack at the whip to get in there. You have obviously put in the work. You know exactly what you're talking about. You have great connections and a massive passion for it, and you're willing to do all this work off your own backs. I just don't see the issue. It's a no-brainer. Like, it is a completely no-brainer.
But we do have a lot of support. But the support we have, we're not sure of the level of support that we have
it won't count
within the electorate.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a lot of support, like, from yourselves outside of the electorate, but within the electorate, we're not really sure. But look, we're coming on to say exactly, and we're campaigning to say exactly what it is we want to do. We only have the interests of the sport. We want to deal with everybody. We don't have prejudices. We don't have a history either. Well, Stacey might have a little bit.
Just for my online presence.
Just a tiny bit. No, but
I edit that, but I don't know how to.
You don't have to edit. But we're not bringing baggage with us.
Yeah.
And we are just trying to look after the sport. Whether we can get that across to the people who matter, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I understand. Well,
I think if we got one shot at this, it would make massive changes.
But the only thing is, as I was saying, we're in here to do this. We're at this to say what it is we want to do. We have heard rumours that they're going to put a couple of people up against us.
Okay.
To run against us. We don't know who, and it is just a rumour and it is just hearsay, so don't pay too much credence to it at the moment. But what I would ask, in the interest of transparency and the interest of informing decisions of the electorate when it comes to voting, that if there are people going up against us, that maybe they would go public with their motives, and maybe they go public with their plans for the future and what they intend to do. Otherwise, it's kind of a very unbalanced election, isn't it?
Yeah, look, absolutely. It's a no-brainer. It is an absolute. I keep saying that, as far as I'm concerned, it is a complete no-brainer. You either leave things the way it is, which we all know how that's turning out. Yeah. As I say, it's going to die on its arse. You can see that results of that. You can see it. We were talking about motocross and stuff. I be constantly listening to podcasts and audiobooks on every lad that's ever done anything in racing throughout his life, and I guarantee every single one of them started at motocross. Yeah. At one stage or another. Some of them still do it throughout their careers, but that's where it starts at the end of the day.
And look, we've talked grassroots, and that's all we've talked is grassroots now tonight, but you also have this situation of the young people coming up, the young people getting into talent cups. You've got Jack Burrows now going, where's he? Spain? Is it Spain? Assen. No, Assen. He's in Assen this weekend. You have these young people coming up. If we fail, if this doesn't happen and we don't protect this, well, those young people who may have the talent, well, they may or may not have the talent, but those handful who do have the talent to get into the likes of BSB, to get into World Superbikes, to get into MotoGP, to get at that very, very top professional level. If we can't do this, we fail them because they don't do it either.
Yeah.
All that goes to waste. So you're not just talking about grassroots, you're talking grassroots all the way to the top professional levels.
That's absolutely, yeah. And I think it's interesting as well, and I think it's worth mentioning as well. People seem to be overlooking a major fact about this is we all ride motorbikes. It's here, all of us here, right?
I don't.
Well, with the exception of yourself, but it's the early days, yeah. It's early days, yeah.
Rider.
But we all started off on dirt bikes. Like, we all had bikes out in the fields. Do you know what I mean? Whether we were doing a bit of, like, some of us done a bit of racing, others didn't, done track days out in the bog or whatever. So that was the starting point for us. That's where we started. That's where we got our love. Now, every single one of us between us are paying insurance companies between 500 and 1,000 euros a year for our bikes. So the point I'm trying to make is, if you don't start off at that, insurance companies in 10 or 15 years' time are going to see a serious decrease in the amount of lads with bikes, because that essentially, for most people, that's where they get the graw for motorbikes. As we all know with bikes, they are worse than any drug. When you're into them, and there's no getting away from them. But if you don't get into them at the early stages, you won't get into them.
But it needs to be less tribal and more inclusive. Yeah, it really does. Because I think that word just came into my head, and I'm not sure it's. No, I think it probably is appropriate that it can be quite tribal. That if you've got different groups and each to their own, and
but that's
never the twain shall meet. Yeah. So it needs to be more inclusive, and even if these groups, they mightn't particularly want to talk to each other, they mightn't have anything to say to each other, but at least they would have a forum at the top that everybody could talk to. And that would engage with everybody, because everybody's going to have their own issues, and even outside of the major issues of funding and the major issues of insurance, even outside of that, when the thing is up and running, everybody's going to have their own concerns, and everybody's concern is legitimate. And I think it's our responsibility, if we are in there as representatives, that it's our responsibility to sit down and try to understand the legitimacy of somebody's problem and not dismiss their problems, because right now people are going with problems and they're being dismissed.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. But there's other little things as well, like that. I've been on their website numerous times, even back when I was doing motocross, inquiring about licenses and inquiring about, I've sent them emails to see, where they're going to get insurance. Is it worth going out and spending 10 grand on a new dirt bike? Is it going to happen? Do you know what I mean? You never hear anything back. But there's loads of other things I thought of. I've been members of different groups down through the years, from hunting to motorbiking and so on and so forth. And this is a real stupid little thing. But there's no reason, if you had an organisation like that was up and running, that had the support of the majority of the people, could anybody that wanted to pay a €15 member, outside of racing, any motorcyclist, pay a €15 membership to be a member of Motorcycling Ireland a year, and you get a sticker in it and you're a member of it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I've joined clubs before, with hunting, and you paid them 20 quid on Revolut or whatever, and you get a sticker and you remember that, and you get a card to say you're a member of it. If you're just a member of it, sure, what about it? But like, how many lads would do it? We'd all do it, sure. If MCI were saying, look, become a member of MCI, you're supporting the sport, it's going to cost you 15
You won't
quid
get 20 quid out of chaff for a sticker. You might, but I tell you what, you get 40 quid out of them for a burger.
Brendan pay for me, he feels sorry. But Paul, for the likes of myself and lads that like me that love road racing and all, it's a shocking thing to say we have to travel to the north of Ireland to get to see a bike racing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy. Like, I mean, because through my life growing up, as I said to you, I remember going back as far. I was only a young fella. With Joey Dunlop, Lord mercy on him, and Robert and them down in four.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And Jesus, when that weekend had come up, we used to love it, lads. Right?
Yeah.
And now that's gone. And if you want to be a bike racing, you have to travel up the north. Yeah. Which,
and the revenue you're giving away is like, we were up at Armagh, and even that petrol station we were part, like the money they took in that one day was just unfucking believable,
It'd be great for businesses.
Oh yeah.
In
Well, you see, the other thing, the longer this is, we've had no racing, the harder it is to get it back. And the other thing you're going to have to fill the grids, because riders at this stage, they're not going to bank on whether we get in or we don't get in. They're not going to bank on whether we can deliver on promises after we get in. They're going to do whatever they need to do. And over the last few years, the same as myself, we have a kind of a set season that we do. And it is all up north. So in order to fill the grids back down here, what will probably have to happen is somebody's, the likes of ourselves, will have to go and sit down with MCUI Ulster Centre and try to devise a single cross-border All-Ireland championship.
Yeah.
Because where riders mightn't travel if it's non-championship, they will travel for championship points.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's going to be a whole series of requirements around that as well. Like, the job gets bigger and bigger and bigger the more you look into it.
Absolutely, yeah. Even like with the short circuit, wasn't this year? Was it last year? There was short circuit race in Ireland, and we all went over to the Masters over in Mondello, and it's brilliant. Like, you know what I mean? I know it's local to us, but it's just great to see that out racing.
You can't get the spectators in.
Yeah.
And yet you go down there to drifting.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you've got hundreds of thousands. Yeah.
But if you go on, and I'm not, I would rather look at paint drying than drifting. To be honest with you, I'm going to be straight out about it. Right? But if you go on, there's friends of mine that are big into it. If you go on to, is it Drift Masters or whatever, you go onto their social media. It is absolutely unbelievable.
This is what annoys me every day. Is I do this on Sport.
Yeah.
And I would only be itching to do it with the MCA, because they would look at that more, because that is the governing body.
Yeah, absolutely.
They would follow that quicker than they would follow me.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, but we have had just very brief contact with World Drift. Mainly for information. Not to have any association with Drift or anything like that, but just to find out, why is it so big? How are they making it so big? How are they getting these big sponsorships? That sort of information, because that information is priceless.
What is the ways to do that?
I think there's a lot of things that's going against and why it's as big. I suppose one of the biggest reasons is cars are a lot more. It's a lot easier for people to get a car on the road, and the young lad that has a Renault Clio can go to the drifting and support the drifting, and because he has a car, does that make sense? You know what I mean? He classed himself as one of them. Whereas with bikes, a lot of it, unless you have a bike, people don't tend to go to motorcycle related things. But on the flip side of that, I genuinely do believe if it's marketed properly, you will have the families that will go over to watch more. It will take a while. Yeah. But even if they've no interest in it, they'll go over. And like Mondello, in fairness, what was it, 15 quid? Like, it's not big money, to be fair. It's not. No. It isn't. And the facilities are all there, you know.
And there's some of the sponsors out there that we've even spoken to. They have no interest in anything else, only sponsoring bikes.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
But the real nuts and bolts here
Yeah.
And it has to be said, my firm belief is if it doesn't come back next year, it isn't coming back.
I would agree
It
with you.
needs to come back next year, and that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
I think the current MCI board are just completely immersed in sorting out or trying to sort out an insurance policy for next year, and I really do wish them all the best in it because I think it's necessary. Something has to happen next year. If we get in and they had sorted an insurance policy, well then it would have the amount of work that we'd have to do, which would be very, very welcome. We'd be very welcome to see it, and I really do wish them well. From what I'm seeing so far, I wouldn't be overly optimistic. Not yet, but that's all I'd say on that because I really do wish them well. I really do wish, I really hope that they bring this across the line because this has to happen.
Absolutely. And I suppose on the other side of that, like obviously there's a lot riding on whether if we can get the financial support from the sporting bodies and stuff like that. But that's not to say that if there's fundraising done to get insurance over the line for next year, that's not to say that the following year we wouldn't get something, that you could get financial support, I suppose. Would it be fair in saying that?
Yeah, I think so.
It's just to get it back for starters, and then have something to work with.
I'm not sure Mike could agree with that.
Mike, what do you reckon?
Look, 26, I'd be optimistic about it. Yeah.
Would you?
Maybe if we get in there, possibly could have big funding for the year after.
Yeah.
I'd be thinking to be 50-50.
Yeah. But it's a step in the right direction.
It is a step in the right direction.
Getting that bit closer to it. Like, I mean, in fairness, what you've done has gotten closer to government funding, I'd say, than ever.
Look, Brian, I think I will be, whether we get in or not, I'll have no regrets over anything we did because if it's done nothing else, even if we don't get in, it sparked debate.
Yeah.
It's fired people up. If we don't get in, it means somebody else did. If somebody else did, it means that what we're doing sparks somebody else to get off their ass and have a go.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
That's a democracy. I don't have any issues with that.
No.
So I think that no matter what happens, we win one way or another.
Yeah.
And to some degree, motorcycle sport wins in some way or another.
Yeah, I get you. Look, absolutely. The pressure's on now.
That's certainly not a defeatist attitude by any stretch of the imagination. We know what we want to do. We know what we have to do in order to do it. Like I said before, I don't think anybody has ever campaigned for these positions.
And I think, Paul,
especially when the positions aren't very attractive to start with.
I'd say it put us under more pressure when we get in there because people expect us then to
they will, to
make this change,
Absolutely,
and that's exactly what I was saying about being overly optimistic.
Yeah.
There's no guarantees that we can pull anything over the line.
Yeah.
I would have been a lot more optimistic had we been able to finish the job back in May.
Yeah.
I think the job would have been finished because by the time you get into November, we're going to go banging on doors, and the very same people who told us to come back later in the year and bang on the doors will say now it's too late in the year and the budget's for 26.
Yeah, I was told October.
Yeah.
Those people will have their
absolutely.
budgets gone. The minister made it quite clear to us. He said, look, get this sorted. We did. Within a week, we were in mediation. On the Friday, there was 4 of us in mediation. We were there for 10 hours with senior counsel. We did the deal that we had to do. And we kind of half expected something to be done about it, but it doesn't look as if anything was.
No.
Because I'm sure if MCI had met with the minister, sorted out a deal or anything like that, then I'm sure we definitely would have heard. That'd be good news. We would have heard about that. But the one thing the minister did say, he said, look, get this sorted quickly, which we did. And he then said, the money is there, but he said, don't leave it too long because that money will go elsewhere.
I get you. But I suppose
that's 8 months ago.
Yeah. But aside from all that, if you are successful and you do get in, you're going on the right path. Okay, albeit if it's a bit late this year, if the funding's not available, that's fair enough. There's nothing you can do about that at this stage. But then at least you have a solid footing. You know exactly what has to happen for the following year, and you have a good head start on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But we did. But something has to happen, and that's why I really hope, touch wood, now that the current board of MCI, they're in there at the moment, that they can pull this insurance across the line.
So for all our listeners that's listening out there, lads, whether they're either racing or not racing or just motorcycle enthusiasts, what can they do? Is there anything that our listeners can do to help that get across the line?
Don't become keyboard warriors.
Okay.
Now, what I'm saying they should do is don't do things, right? Don't become keyboard warriors. Don't continue to keep slating everybody and arguing on social media. Social media is where everybody looks. That's where insurance companies look. You can be guaranteed if you're going looking for the minister's watching your social media. It can be, or he's having it reported to him. There's all this sort of goes. What we're saying is, if you want us to go and do this, most people don't like the politics. Most people don't. We love it. I genuinely do enjoy it. And I love pitting my wits against other people, especially if they're on huge money across a great big mahogany desk. I absolutely love it, and I always have. It's something I enjoy. No, it's something I enjoy. It's kind of a hobby. But most people don't like it. Say, I just want to ride my bike. And I get that. But if you just want to ride your bike, then, and you don't want to do the politics, please support the people who do want to do the politics, because they're doing it on your behalf. Yeah, and that's all I say. And don't hinder that with just silly comments at 12:30 at night when you've had a few beers on social media.
That's fair enough.
Because what we want to do, and hopefully to be a natural transition now of that, if we can get in there and empower the people in the clubs and empower the members of the clubs and make them feel involved, because it's just not happening now at the moment. Now we have information now on an insurance policy. I'm sure you saw the thing come up there last Saturday. But then you had the president of telling a member who asked a question, saying, go and ask your clubs for the information. But our club, CBRI, doesn't have any information because it wasn't given to them. And the information that most clubs do have, they've been asked not to put out any information at the moment. So I think to tell somebody to go and ask your club when the clubs can't give out that information at the moment, I think it's just a bit disingenuous to somebody who needs the information.
Yeah, absolutely. And then
if you can't give out the information, don't make the statement.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah,
it's that simple.
Either do it or don't do it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I totally agree.
I think little things like that, I think it's a bit disingenuous to people. But people, I've always lived on the thing that people won't always remember what you said to them, but people will always remember how you made them feel. Yeah. And empower people. That's what you need to do. Empower people. Make them feel part of it. Make them feel good. It benefits everybody. That's really where we want to go. We know how big the task we have. In fact, if you put all the work down that we have to do, that we've looked at, it's actually impossible. We should just take a walk and go home. It's absolutely impossible what we're trying to do. But I still think we'll pull it off because we'll empower other people to join in.
Yeah, I agree. So you were saying, so you need kind of the backing of the motocross clubs and the enduro clubs.
We definitely have to have their backing, because if we don't have their backing, we can't get in.
They're one of the largest.
Okay, so what has to happen is...
And it's no good to us, because I don't want anyone saying I threw the toys out of the pram. I don't do that in any regard in my life, any respect in my life. I don't do that. But we need to get in as a team in order to do this work. If we don't get in as a team, if I got in and say Stacey and Mike didn't get in, I would withdraw at that point. Okay. And it wouldn't be throwing the ties out of the pram or anything like it. It wouldn't be sour grapes or anything. It's just that it would prevent me doing the job that I've been working towards doing.
Yeah, I get you.
Because it needs the team. I doubt it's ever been campaigned. The three people are kind of campaignning as one unit.
But it is what needed to happen, though.
It is what needed to happen.
It is definitely what needed to happen, you know. It's great even before I reached out to you to come on the podcast, you know, when I seen it, the posts, straight away I was just like, fucking yeah, that's the stuff, you know what I mean? I was like, geez, this is great to see this. This needs to happen. Because as I said to you earlier on the podcast, when people don't hear anything, they automatically presume nothing's going on. So when you don't see anything, any post, do
you know how many years back I had to go through all my pictures to find that picture? I was only 17 when that was taken.
You didn't age very well, so 17.
You look like you were in court on the other side of the court.
I thought it was a lovely photo, actually. That was very handsome.
Very much.
That's AI. That's AI, I'd say, for sure. I could use some of your editing skills.
But I think the off-roaders need to have a bit of belief in us in this one. And trust us in this one.
Yeah.
We're not, look, to ask them to trust us, we're asking them to jump into the abyss. We're asking them to jump into the unknown. We're asking them to park whatever suspicion they have that RRAI are coming back to haunt them. Because I know that that's how it looks. We're asking them, we're not just asking them to support us. In asking them to support us, we're saying, listen, you've got to take a big chance on us.
Yeah.
That's why you're
And it could be
campaigning.
it could be too big an ask. That is why we campaign, but it's
Like,
still
you
it's
have
a very
to
big
campaign
ask.
to get the trust of the people. Like you can't just go in and say, I know how to do this, but
Yeah.
I'm
But
sure they don't know who you are.
again, and I'm saying again, I don't see it that way. I genuinely don't. Maybe it's just me. I don't see that as a big ask. Because it's not as if like they're out the doors racing and there's racing going on every weekend. They're taking a chance on, well, if these get in and essentially fuck things up, we might have no race next year. Well, guess what? You don't have any race next year. So it can only go up realistically.
Like, there was a comment left on one of my posts yesterday, and he basically said, sure, this group does all of this anyway, so this must be your motive, or this is where you... But it is.
Yeah.
If we just change that over and get I support everyone.
Yeah.
Every single discipline. There's nobody that is lower than anybody else.
Yeah.
Only that I love road racing. That is my bloodline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I get along with numerous people,
Yeah.
and I post about everybody, like you said earlier, rallies, meets, everything I post about.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If this was just all changed over into the MCI page, all I have to do is have a login code
Yeah.
and
Yeah, to
actually
get in.
start putting out stuff
And it's
and
what
have
needs to happen.
have it relevant.
Yeah.
But,
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, it's definitely it's what needs
But look,
to
I
happen.
like motocross. I had to go on motocross there about years and years and years ago. Well, I can't do motocross anymore because it looks stupid bringing a little step ladder just to try and get my leg over the bike. No, it's unbelievable. My next door neighbour has a CRF. The CRF 450 wanted me to have a look at it. It was coughing and spitting a bit.
Yeah.
So I went to climb on it. Hadn't a hope. I swear I had to get a little.
serious?
I had to get a little step ladder.
So we had the Dino Day last year, and Holly Dennis came over. She's brilliant for supporting anything.
Yeah.
But she came over and she brought the bike over just to put on display. And the next thing I seen, this little tiny thing on about a 6 foot high bike, and she driving it up into the back of a lorry.
No
Like
bother
I was
whatsoever.
I was actually standing going, oh Jesus! Like it was like my own child on it and terrified. She
Terrified,
just
yeah.
I would have put a
piled
hip
on
out.
into it.
Speaking of putting a hip out,
Yeah.
this swear to God, this is the truth. When you're at the next road, let's come and have a look at my bike. You'll see my seat is raised by exactly an inch.
'Cause
Right,
you're
you can
paying-
see it on the cushion.
Pain in the hips.
Oh, wait, I'll tell you. I went round Mondella, went round Turn 4, had a pair of Gearin boots I was after buying. It was a few years ago. I was after buying off eBay. Loved them Gearin boots.
Yeah.
Went round and I scraped the toe the whole way off, all the way nearly into my sock.
Oh Jesus.
Well, come back in nearly crying about me boots, and my mate Mark O'Byrne says to me, he says, geez, you're riding that thing like a guard. He says, what's wrong with you? So when you're going round the corners, he says, get your toes right up on the pegs. So right, I'll do that, threw on the other boots. Went out, and there's no word of a lie, couldn't make this up. I got to the first turn, the hairpin, and I put both me toes up, both my feet up on the pegs. And I got cramp in both of me hips. Not one, the two of them. Yeah. And I was like, and people thought it was Tarzan coming around. I was doing that. Oh, unbelievable. And I raised to see that kind of cured that. I raised to see.
Cured it, yeah.
So look, you think you're 20 and
No.
you think you're real young, and every so often your body tells you no.
No, but you lose the
No,
on
we're
yourself.
not doing that bit anymore.
I can distinctly remember I had a big out off a motocross bike a couple of years ago, and I hadn't been on one for a couple of months, building the house, and shake gets in the way, and we were doing a race over in Kildare, and they were after changing the track. Anyway, long story short, I came around and hit this tabletop. I thought I was fucking Travis Pastrana. I swear to God. And I can distinctly letting a yo out of me in the air, like this is class. And then the arse of the bike just came around, and I was like, instantly I was like, oh fuck. And you don't bounce like you did when you were
No,
like
you
15,
don't.
16.
No,
No,
you don't.
definitely not. Yeah, definitely. Well, look, you have the full support of Clondy Gale and the Motorcycle Hour podcast. It's if nothing else, it's fantastic to see that there is that much passion out there to get things back up and running and back where it is. It's my genuine belief that the future of all motorcycle disciplines is in safe hands if you can get in there. I genuinely do believe you'll get the job done, and I hope everybody else gets behind you and gets you in there. And
But
just
Brent,
gets
can I
it back
just say,
on.
just to finish off, for anybody who watches my videos, I believe there's quite a few. I don't know how it works. I press the send button. That's it. But whoever watches my videos, on whatever platform, whether this be Facebook, TikTok, or Stacey's page, or my page, or Mike's page, or whatever, that this podcast goes out on. If anybody listening to the podcast, if you have questions, please put them in the comments. Just put them in the comments. We will. Stacey will have a great job.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Compiling those questions. Once we have the questions compiled, because some of them might repeat, once you have the questions compiled, if people have questions, Stacey will give me the questions and I will do a video answering those questions.
Lovely.
And the one thing you'll get from us, you'll get transparency and you will get honesty.
Absolutely, yeah. No, definitely, that's a good idea. Yeah, as I say, we're gonna post this everywhere as well, and we genuinely hope, like with the motocross listeners, we've talked about motocross a good few times. I actually have a name of a fella lined up to come on, a big motocross racer, be known everywhere throughout the discipline. So we'll hope to get him on, and I definitely think we're on the right road. You just need to get over that last little hurdle, and we're away with it. Ja, you're leaning in here like a...
Bottom line is, we need to get the road racing back in the south of Ireland. End of story. All racing, yeah. Well, you're into the motocross. I'm into the road racing. That's it, you know.
You happy out now? Right. You got the office, yes. I knew you had to.
And Cha, listen, if you are at one of the road races and you want to get in the paddock or anything, and just tell them you're my carer. They'll let you straight in.
The minute the child walk up, the first thing they'll say is, "You the 5'3.5"? Yeah, go on.
The small jockey with even smaller whip.
Listen, can I just say, Brandon, I know you want to wrap it up now, so can I just say, we really, really do, all of us really appreciate being given the opportunity on the platform. We know you have a lot of followers. We'll share it on our pages and we'll get it out, but it gives us an opportunity to get a message out as a group that we haven't had the opportunity to before. So thank you very much for that.
Thanks very much for that.
You're more than welcome. We'll have you on anytime. And just don't forget us now when you get in there and you have the good jobs now. You won't forget that whole podcast.
Yeah, someone's on the phone for you there, Paul. Sorry, Cha, who?
Never heard of her.
Brendan Cha.
I'll tell you one thing, you'll be eating hospital food, son.
What are you talking about, Brendan Cha? That sounds like a big jug of gravy or something. Would you like some Brendan Cha on your roast, Cha?
Yeah, you know the way you've Tom and Jerry and Mickey and Donald, and you've the Brendan the Jar.
Holy Jesus Christ. Well, look, we're going to wrap it up for this week. As I say, anybody that has any questions, head over to Stacey's, Paul's, Mike's pages, get in contact with us, and if you're not following anybody, and we can put you in contact with them at all. Keep up the great work you're doing regardless of whatever happens anyway, and I think the sport has a bright future ahead of it. We just need to get you over that last little hurdle and onwards and upwards. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Lovely stuff. We'll wrap it up for this week, folks, and we'll see you all next week for episode 52.